Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to episode 17 of Photography Chats. We're going to have Grant Brittian on with us here soon. Hope everyone is having a great week. Looking forward to the chat today. Grant is a really awesome dude that I had the pleasure of meeting last year in San Clemente. And he's a fantastic skateboard photographer, and I'll let him do his intro here. Now that he's in, we will get him on. So we just sent the invite out to Grant. Let's see. Hello, Grant.
Hi, how you doing, Merlin?
Not bad, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Just let me set up my phone here so it doesn't move around.
Sure thing.
How's it going?
Not too bad. I'm just actually kind of on the road right now. I'm in Vancouver tonight. I've been driving across the country with a friend of mine that's moving out here, and I'll be
Oh,
heading back
cool.
to Toronto on Saturday. So it's been interesting traveling the country during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it sketchy at all?
a little bit sketchy. So
Yeah.
it was kind of funny. Like it was small towns were sketchy, but then also some larger cities like Calgary was a little weird. Um,
Yeah.
and like Alberta's like a more conservative province
Yeah.
in Canada here, kind of akin to Texas. And I think they believe that Jesus is going to wipe out the COVID. Um, so
She's not?
no, I don't think
No?
she's going to help them there. So
Yeah.
that was a little sketchy. But
Yeah.
Vancouver's been good, and then we spent a couple days on Salt Spring Island, which was
Where,
nice because there's not a lot of people there, and
where's that?
Salt Spring Island is on some islands that are around the larger Vancouver Island. And
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it was nice because we almost kind of forgot that there was a pandemic after spending a few days there and being in nature and not having to, you know, see all of the crazy pandemicness. But then we read the news and see what's going on and are
Yeah.
reminded of what's going on in the real world. Alan's like, isn't all of Canada sketchy? I'm like, dude, that's kind of like, throwing stones when you live in a glass house.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are things down there?
Good. Weather's good. Um, it's windy, but no fires right now. Well, there was a small fire inland, but yeah, but the weather's great.
Nice.
We have the Santa Ana going right now, which is offshore winds, so it's really nice and dry. Yeah, it's only rained once so far this fall, winter. Yeah.
Nice. So, I mean, is that give you an opportunity to get out and do much shooting then, or?
Trying to think what I've shot lately. I like to shoot a lot of portraits, and I just haven't been able to do that much, and just shooting stuff around the yard. And then we've been going on hikes. We've been up to the mountains a few times, and my wife and I, and we go on hikes, and I take pictures then. And I went up and shot that comet when it was, around, and yeah, but just trying to get out in the backcountry here. A couple miles back, it all turns into sagebrush.
Okay.
So it's really nice. It's like foothills, and then you drive an hour and you're in the mountains.
Oh,
So
it's gorgeous.
yeah, it's great.
Columbus Film Lab asked about Banff and Jasper, and unfortunately, those are some of the sketchier centers we found out after talking to a parks representative. A lot of the people that work at the parks are commingling with people that are infected and causing a lot of trouble up there. So that's interesting. Sam Archibald has a question for you, though. What's the future of skate photography with the presence of Instagram now?
Um, Drove all the magazines out of business, except one, Thrasher, and I worked. Well, I worked at Transworld for 20 years, and now they don't publish anymore. And I don't even think they're going to be, I'm not sure if they're going to be online even, but they've shut down all their magazines pretty much. And then the magazine I worked for up until a few years ago, they went out of business. So, the Skateboard Mag. And yeah, just Instagram, unless it's like a like nice quality paper magazine. I think it's going to be more like print to order and people doing, vanity projects and stuff, putting out a skate magazine book type thing. And it's got to be collectible now. It just can't be monthly, you know. My son's like a really good skater, and I would bring the magazine home for him and he wouldn't look at it for 3 days because he's always on YouTube or Instagram or whatever. He's 26 now.
Okay.
But yeah, the kids wouldn't pay attention to magazines, short attention span, and then events was just impossible. I quit going to events years ago because it was like, I mean, it's everybody with their phones. You're trying to shoot photos, and your stuff's not even going to come out for another month, and it's just kind of worthless, to try to shoot an event anymore, except on Instagram and social media.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of an interesting question for me to you is like, with that sentiment, like, what are your feelings with Instagram?
I love Instagram.
Right.
I mean, now I live off of my prints, my archival prints, and stuff. I've been shooting 41 years, so I just live off of that stuff, and that's social media is how I promote everything. And right now, without shows and public events, it's all about social media, and that's and collaborating with people and working with companies on different collaborations and like a shoe company or whatever. And that's how you make a living now. And a lot of people didn't get it together. People my age, there were a lot of photographers that were resistant to digital, and they were resistant to social media, and they got kind of left behind, and now they're trying to play catch up. So I never had a problem with it. I didn't want to be that old, I always say this, I didn't want to be that old curmudgeon that was like, fuck all that stuff, and I'm just going to keep doing stuff the way I've done it. And yeah, that's fine if you want to do art and hang out and stuff, but I got to make a living too,
Yeah, that's totally fair. Alan says that he loves the prints you have hanging at the Leica store in Boston.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was fun when we did that. Yeah, we did. I got invited to that one, and it was, what is it, Rolling Through the Shadows show, and I got invited to that and the Washington D.C. and the Seattle one, and they asked everybody on an group email who wanted to go, and I was like, I'll go.
Nice.
So yeah, I just wanted to go and hang out, and they paid the ticket and the hotels, so I just had to come up with other stuff. And yeah, I had fun. And then I got to hang out and meet a lot of, new photographers that I'd never met before. And I've been shooting Leica since, probably 2000 or, 2003 maybe. So when I got my first Leica, I think.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Alan at the Leica store in Boston. If you have any Leica needs, hit up Alan. He's a fantastic dude. And, oddly enough, if it wasn't for Alan, this chat show, my involvement in the photography community, all of that, it would have never happened, because all of this started from going to a workshop at the Leica store in Boston and just meeting some photographers, and from there, like, just getting into the photography community. So it's kind of amazing how, like, one little thing can make such a huge difference. And, it was a mixture of Alan and Instagram that has brought us here this evening. So it's kind of got to give a shout out to him, and then also to Underdog Film Lab in Oakland, California, for being very kind to blast out on their social medias that we were chatting tonight. And I love those guys. Brian Brooks and Jesse Hitchens up there are fantastic people at the Underdog Lab.
Cool.
Yeah. And dude, I gotta say, when you sent me those promo pictures, I wasn't expecting such like a large and like, man, it fucking blew my mind, honestly. Like,
That's what I was trying to do, though. I was trying to blow your mind.
Dude, you absolutely, well, I mean,
Plus, I'm lazy. I was too lazy to organize them. I was just kind of just throwing them at you, and I just figured you'd take what you wanted and dump the rest.
Well, so
Don't sell them. Don't sell the rest.
oh God, no, no, no.
I'm
Like that,
kidding. I'm kidding.
I wouldn't imagine to do so. It was an honor to look at your work and
All
just
right.
like, man.
Thank you.
So I gotta say, the F3 kit in that bundle was really cool. I wanted to include it in the post, but you had so many great art photos that I wanted to include that that one didn't make the cut. But
Yeah.
I've got the same F3,
Yeah.
and I love shooting with that, and it was cool to see the kit. And then all that Kodachrome that you shot in Europe, that massive pile of Kodachrome, like,
Yeah.
man, like
Yeah.
that's
That was I think maybe 87. I don't know if I labeled that, but it was probably about 1987, and you just you just travel all over Europe and shoot all this film of all these skaters, and then you never knew what you had until you got back. And I was always paranoid I was going to lose rolls, and I actually did lose 4 rolls that I shot in a snowstorm in a cemetery in Munich once.
oh shit.
And they went into the dark room. I checked them into the dark room, and they never came out of the dark room. I don't know if they got swept off into the trash or the darkroom tech blew it or what. But yeah, I was like, those are the 4 rolls that I wish I had gotten out of any trip, pretty much. Because I froze my ass off too.
Julie Fina Painter says Sean Christopher shared the portraits of him that you made recently, and it was incredible work.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was just a little. Yeah, Sean's this skater who owned this bookstore in Carlsbad.
Okay.
And he wanted to shoot some kind of a push style photo, but I shot portraits of him and shots of his hands and just of his board and stuff like that. We just got together one afternoon. They came out kind of cool. So we didn't know what we were going to shoot, really.
And Wick Photo says, Grant, as a kid in junior high, I always found inspiration in the story about Ativa sending you images constantly and eventually moving out west. 32 now, and your images were a reason I work in sports.
Oh, rad. Yeah. It's, I hear a lot of stories like that, how, skateboarding just started so many people on photo careers. They shot for fun, or they looked at magazines, and then they said they had photos up on their walls, and you'll get it used to be letters, now it's emails or text or whatever, or direct message, like, oh, your photos inspired me to become a photographer. So it's kind of cool just hearing all that.
Then Nolan Terbon says, everyone has their favorite lens. What lens draws you in most, the one that calls to you?
Well, for skateboarding, it's always been the fisheye. We always shot fisheye. Back when I was shooting Nikon, it was a 16. I shoot Canon now, and it's a 15 millimeter, with a full frame camera. I shoot a 5D, and then the 70 to 200 Canon, the 2.8. I shoot that a lot. Those are the main lenses, and then I have a portrait. I have an 85 that I really love shooting for portraits, and I skip around. Probably those 3 lenses more than anything. And then I'm shooting Fuji a lot. I just have the was it the 100X?
Okay.
Shooting that, just for fun. And sometimes my photos with that come out as good as any photos. Like I went to Death Valley last year, and by myself, and I shot for a few days. I'd been there a lot before, and I did a solo trip there, and I shot Hasselblad, Leica, and the Fuji. I'd back up I'd shoot all 3 things at every spot, pretty much. And I ended up using the Fuji stuff more than anything, because my Hasselblad stuff got screwed up. The film got wet or something, and it had mold all over it.
Oh shit!
And I don't know if it was. I didn't know it was wet, but I think I waited probably 4 months before I developed it. Just with the paper. Anything in metal was okay. It was the paper. Something got damp. I don't know. So luckily, I had it all I shot the Leica and the Fuji. I love that little Fuji camera. It's a great camera.
Yeah, those mirrorless cameras are pretty rad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then when I shoot film now, I shoot my Leica, or I'll screw around with. I've been shooting. I shot my grandfather's camera a while back, and I I hadn't touched it in about 4 or 5 years, and um, I took a roll that was already out of. I shot a couple of extra photos that were at the end of the roll, and I got it developed at in San Clemente at the darkroom
lab.
Yeah, and it came back and it had this algae, like it looked like tendrils growing all over it, and it was amazing. And it was because I'd shot this film years ago. I must have a damp house or something, but yeah, it came out it was a happy surprise. You know, it was super trippy. Looked like alien stuff. You know.
Onus, hey, sorry, there's a puppy just came into the.
What do you have, a lab?
Yeah, he's a Great Dane Lab cross. His name's Onus, and he belongs to my friend.
Yeah.
Here,
I've got a black lab here too.
You can that's the big there.
Cool. Hey, buddy.
He's a big boy, and he hates traveling. So he's very happy to not be in the car anymore.
Yeah.
We got another question here. Who is the persons you haven't photographed that you want to?
Well, some of them are dead, so.
Well, dead or alive. I think that's a fair answer to.
Yeah. I don't know, like somebody. It would be cool to shoot somebody like Iggy Pop or somebody, Patti Smith or somebody. They have such descriptive faces and portrait wise. And there were a few skaters I never really shot except at a contest, and I never really shot them out in the streets. Somebody like Andrew Reynolds or who's like one of the top skaters, but Ativa always shot him. Back on the Ativa thing was Ativa Jefferson, who's like pretty famous photographer now. He sent photos to Transworld to me, and they were, snapshots of his friends. They were from Colorado Springs, and I'd give him tips, and then he'd send some more photos, and his photos would get a little better each time he sent the photos. These are back in the film days, and I mean, we had computers, but barely, old Macs, I guess. And then all of a sudden he started calling me, and I'd talk to him on the phone, and I'd never met him or anything or seen a picture of him or anything, and I'd just give him tips and help him along. And then he called me one day and he goes, "Hey, I'm coming out to California with my twin brother, Akko, and we're just gonna cruise and check it out. Do you know anybody I can stay with?" And so one of the guys at work, I think it was the art director, said, "Yeah, he can stay at my house." And he came out and stayed for a week. And then all of a sudden he called and he goes, "Hey, I'm moving out there." And, I just thought he was going to move out and, have a suitcase and stuff. He and his brother rented a U-Haul truck, and they were pulling a Volkswagen Bug, and they were serious about moving out here. And then he was out here for a few months. He was kind of meeting up with photographers or skaters, shooting a few people. And then he told me one day, he goes, "Oh, I got a job at 7-Eleven in San Marcos, which is a few miles from here."
Yeah.
And I go, "Hey, wait." And I went in and talked to my boss, and I got him hired as my assistant. And that's kind of where he all, started. And then he helped start the video department, at Transworld with Dave Swift. And then he's one of those guys that would just, he started shooting basketball just by calling, I think it was Andy Bernstein, the basketball. "What's that?" So he started shooting basketball as he was like a third assistant or something, and shooting NBA games and stuff. So, it's just started. He started like everybody starts in their hometown, shooting their friends. And that's how I started shooting shooting photos and getting into skating was I worked at this skate ranch. I was a skater, and I worked at Del Mar Skate Ranch, and I started shooting, and I just started shooting the locals and my friends, and worked my way up, over the years. And everybody starts in the same place. It never starts at the top. You always start at the bottom.
Yeah,
So
I love that one picture of you
that's
on a homemade skateboard where you were hauling along there in the
oh
back.
yeah.
That was a good
Oh,
one.
in 1974, yeah.
Yeah, Alan
That was
said,
before I got into photography. Sorry.
"Oh,
I didn't
go ahead."
start shooting photos till I was 23.
Oh shit, damn.
Yeah.
Alan
I
said
was an art major.
he's pretty sure that the skate scene is what drove up the price of the used M6s. He gets more requests for those than any other film camera Leica's made.
For what?
He said the skate scene has driven the prices of the used M6s up. He gets more
Really?
for those
Huh.
than the other camera that Leica's made.
Well,
And then we got another
well,
question here.
you
Uh,
know, hey Merlin,
yeah,
I I've told my kids, I go, you can get rid of all my cameras when I die, except for the Hasselblad and the Leica. You got to keep those.
yeah, those should be heirlooms.
Yeah, I don't care about the Canons and all that.
Um, Dave, who I absolutely love and adore, Sinadar, has put here mentioned that moisture issues are likely from living close to the ocean. So, heads
Yeah,
up, if you live by the ocean, watch out for moisture problems.
yeah, yeah, but could be worse.
And then Black Swan 74 is wondering if you have any other photos of the chin ramp.
Yeah, I have shitload of photos.
Are
I shot for 4 days there, and I have a lot of chin ramp photos, a ton.
Nice. Well, Black Swan, maybe you should hit Grant up in the DMs to order some prints of the chin ramp video.
No, I know him, and I don't think he has any money. He'll get mad at me now.
Well, that's how you know you're friends.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, in that bundle of photos you sent me, I know your skate photography, but your art photos blew my mind.
No,
Like
thanks.
those were fantastic. Like
Thanks.
the ones where you framed the clouds in like the circle portal and the square in that like abandoned building. That one was so cool. And that desert highway photo.
Yeah, those are both Death Valley. We're out
Oh,
near Death Valley last year.
those were fantastic.
Oh,
And
thank you.
the train photos. I loved all of those ones.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. The one with the girl in the train photo,
Yeah, I love that.
that's my daughter when she was little.
Oh, holy
And
shit.
it's at a trolley train museum in Paris, California,
Oh.
near, a couple hours away from here. And people would go, "Is that after the war?" And I go, "How old do you think I am? Is that in Berlin?"
Well, it does
So,
kind of look European. Like it has a sort of like old vibe
yeah.
to it, and it was just fantastic. Like and the that Japanese shrine photo, uh,
Oh,
that
thanks.
one was cool. Like the shadow play that you do is amazing. People are pretty familiar with it with the famous cover photo. It's just
You mean they're underexposed?
yeah.
No, I like dark, and I love shadow, and to me it's always been about the shadows, you know, and I don't mind blocked up shadows, and shooting into the sun and stuff like that.
It's interesting you say it's all about the shadows because I shot a roll of this really rad film that I found here in Vancouver, and I just picked up a bit more today from Bo Photo, the Ferrania P30. Um,
Hmm.
if you've never played with this stuff, you grab a roll. Underdog has some, and Glass
Oh,
Photo has some.
where's it from? What country?
It's from Italy. Uh,
Oh, okay. No,
it's
I've never shot it.
it's a Pan Acro 80 ISO film, but it's got a super heavy silver content,
Hmm.
and the first roll of it that I shot, I kind of fucked up. and
Yeah.
it came up underexposed. And initially, when I looked at it, there was only like 3 or 4 frames that I liked. But then I had another look at it the other day, and just with a different kind of eye, and appreciated a lot of those underexposed photos because there was some really cool detail in the shadow that like I was just being hard on myself before.
Yeah.
That it's interesting you say it's all about the shadows because like when I was looking at it, I was like, fuck, I like these photos now. Like the shadow stuff is like really cool.
Yeah. I'm finding, during the pandemic, which is great. I don't mind the pandemic that much because I'm kind of a homebody, and uh, I don't have to hang out with a bunch of people I didn't like very much. So I'm kidding. I am kidding.
Speak your
And,
mind. Tell us how you really
but,
feel, Grant.
but it really hasn't bothered me a lot because it's given me a break from people and a lot of time to work on other projects and go through old, when you've got 40 years of negatives, and my tastes have changed, and I go through stuff now, and I like a lot of the stuff I didn't like before, or things that were mistakes because my tastes have changed, like, oh wow, that was when I started photography in late 70s, early 80s. Everything had to be perfect. Lighting had to be perfect. You couldn't have glare in a photo. And
Yeah.
now it's like there's apps for it, um, it's just so I think it's easier to make good photos now because in the past everybody was just so OCD. Professional photographers were OCD about how something looked, and you'd spend a lot of time, you know, let's say a studio setup or whatever. It had to be perfect, and now it's like you can break rules all over the place, and I kind of like that. So I'm finding a lot of things that I just kind of dismissed them before. I sent you a photo of Dave Hackett doing a frontside grind in Japan. It was full frame with
Yeah.
and it was all like solarized a little bit.
That was one of the ones I used for the post today.
Yeah, and then that was a roll that I didn't use back then. It was from Japan, and the lab tech had opened the can of film when it was developing, and it had solarized the last few shots
Oh shit.
on a roll of film. And I go, oh, you fucked that up, And then, like a couple of years ago, I found it again. I go, whoa, it's psychedelic. It's great, So, and then I scanned it and started using it, and I'm really looking for, the integrity of the negative. And, there's, I've been finding, color slides that a hand was chopped off or something, skate photo,
Yeah.
or his foot's chopped off or a wheel's chopped off. And I didn't do this back in the day. I've been taking them out of the sleeve and, the carrier, and it's in, it was just close to the edge. And I go, wow, I would have used that back in the day. And so I'm finding a lot of stuff like that. And I'm even shooting it with the carrier, the paper carrier, Kodak carrier, and shooting it and then just digging out the side of it, taking a picture of the whole carrier with the photo on a light table, and then just kind of taking an X-Acto knife or whatever and then cutting the paper away but leaving it in the frame and then shooting it like that.
Nice.
And just screwing around,
I think that's
when you have a lot of time on your hands.
We got K-Bomb Skate says hi. And then we've got another couple questions here. Jessica,
K-Bomb, is that a Korean pop group or?
I'm not sure.
Oh.
Jessica Mona Photo says, it seems like it's harder to get published these days. Any tips for that? Love your work.
I get that question so much. And, and I do Zooms with high school photo classes and stuff. And, kids have, how do I get my stuff published? And it's just so hard now. There's no magazines. That's why social media is the way to go, or self-publishing, like zines or little books, or I get people send me the books they've done, and it's pretty cool. But and sending those to maybe companies or something. But yeah, there's so much competition, and there's just no magazines. In skate-wise, there's no magazines. I mean, if you can get the best job in skateboarding is to work for a company and be the team photographer, or, you know, working in the art department or whatever. But those are few and far between. It's the question, it was a woman, right?
Yeah, I believe
Her
so.
question was the hardest question to answer nowadays, and then with the pandemic thrown in on top, you know, and the economy, you know, I don't want to dissuade people from being photographers, but it's hard to make a living. And I mean, I have the luxury of having this archive, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm not making money off of stuff I shot, you know, 4 months ago. You know, I'm making the money off of 30-year-old stuff, you know. And it's not a lot of money, but it's enough to live on. And I do a lot of self-promotion, you know. I'm pretty much kind of a whore on social media. Well, you got to play it smart. You don't want it to come off like you're just a money grubber or whatever, but you know, you got to make a living. And you know, I run a lot of photos on my Instagram, but I'm not always trying to sell something, you know. And then you're trying to come up with other projects and sell it that way. But no, it's a hard question. I don't know what to say. And I get it from high school kids. And I used to be, oh, well, you send your photos in, and then just keep, you know, call the photo editor up and bug them. And that's what people used to do to me.
Yeah.
And that's how you got a job at a magazine or got stuff in a magazine. But there were a million, you know, back then when I started shooting, there were 5 photographers, and it was all film and no digital and no computers. And now it's like, you know, I see stuff on Instagram could be covers of magazines, and it's up for, you know, 2 minutes, and then it disappears, you know. I mean, I look at Instagram at others. I get inspired by looking at other people, you know, see what they're doing. And there's so much good stuff, you know, and so many good skate photos and landscapes, and, you know, and people tasing themselves. So.
That's so weird. Thanks, John from Knoxville.
Yeah.
Brandon Baker Photo asks, other than Instagram, what other outlets would you suggest to get your work seen?
Well, I don't like Facebook, but I do Facebook. I just don't like, I don't know. Instagram's just so easy to use, and for photography, it's, you know, I've been into it for a long time, and Instagram's just, I got bummed when Instagram started doing video.
Yeah.
You know, I use video on it too, but at first I was like, oh damn, you know, when they start doing video.
I have to agree.
Yeah, because I thought that it was like, oh, it's our thing, you know, it's just for photographers, you know. Before photography, I was doing that JPEG online. Yeah, and so I kind of came in from JPEG. My friend told me about, I think Anthony Acosta told me about, hey, there's this new thing called Instagram. I go, oh, I'll check it out. And it was like, see you later, JPEG. And you know, but I use Facebook. I've had a LinkedIn account for a while, and then a couple of years ago, I noticed that it was getting more social, and I go, you know, I'm kind of trying to sell my work to companies and restaurants and things like that. So I start posting more on Instagram, but I do Pinterest. I don't know what it is, but I upload stuff to it. And because I noticed, I go into my analytics and I see where traffic's coming from, and stuff was coming from there. Stuff's coming from Facebook. Those are the main things I do. What else? I only post skate stuff on Twitter. I don't run anything else on Twitter because I get too much hate back. I never get hate stuff from skaters. I get it. I have people like I call them the year police and the trick police. You know, if you put the wrong year down, you got people coming at you. And Grant, I don't know. I don't think it was 86. I think it was 87. And you're just like, doesn't matter.
It's in the decade, man.
Yeah. Okay. I shot it December 86. We ran it in 87, you know.
Yeah.
Because I'm always combing through old magazines before I put a date up, I look online at YouTube and see when a certain contest was. And yeah, it's just, yeah, you just get weird people, you know.
There are lots of weird people and like a lot of haters there, but
trolls or whatever you want to call them, you know. I 86 people, you know. If I don't like if they come at me like that, it's my Instagram. I can do whatever I want. I don't care if they hate it, and delete, you know. And then I find out their address and I go over to their house. I have tracked a couple of people down I've tracked them down and then written them found their address and written them letters back.
Oh man, I would love to see their face when they like check the mailbox and see a letter from like Grant Brittian.
It was mainly in the letters days at Transworld. You get hate mail, and then the guy's address is on there. Those are the days you could look up, you could call information in that town and get the guy's name, and then call him. Hey, I just got a letter from you, and it was kind of a shitty letter, you know. And they're like, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, I go, you know, it's like you do a magazine every month. You spend a lot of time. You work with a bunch of people. You spend a bunch of money on a monthly magazine, and you work several months on that one magazine. And then you have somebody sit in their pajamas at home, you know, just like, I mean, they don't do anything, you know, and it's like they're putting down the job you do. So I used to take it super personally.
That's fucking funny though. Like I could just imagine them shitting a brick when they like, you know, have Grant Brittian on the phone being like, so like what is this shit that you like wrote?
Yeah, but it's like it was a lot less back then. Now it's just, you know, they'll just, you know, they stalk you and troll you, and yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I don't understand that kind of stuff. And like, I mean, there's an interesting polarization with Instagram because there's a lot of people out there that believe that it's a very toxic environment, but I personally believe it can be, but that's if you choose for it to be. Like if you curate a different view for yourself and you use it as like a tool for good, it can become a very powerful, positive tool for you. And I'm, you know, gathering that you probably feel similarly about Instagram there. Then we got a couple other questions here.
No, you know, I know what you mean. I always try to put positive things up on my social too. Like I'm not a Yelper. I don't go, like if I go to a restaurant and the food, you know, was bad, I don't Yelp them. You know, I just don't go back. You know, and then you'll go to a Yelp review and there's like, you know, you see that person with the Yelp review and you see how many Yelps. I mean, they're Yelp reviewers and half, they don't like any food, you know? So
yeah, some people,
it's just negative and, you know.
Derek Zomer asks, nowadays with several camera brands shooting upwards of 50 megapixels, would you say shooting medium format is worth it in terms of price and image?
Well, quality, I mean, the qualities, you know, like at Transworld, that's when, okay, Ativa, it's his fault that we all started shooting Hasselblads. And I had shot medium format. I think I sent you a photo of Tony Hawk with a Mamiya that I shot where he's looking at the camera. And I shot that in like 83 or something with my Mamiya twin lens reflex. And then Ativa got into Hasselblad, and then he got the fisheye. So then, I mean, the quality was so good, and we were shooting all 35 millimeter pretty much. And then the quality was so good on the Hasselblad, you know, and you could shoot, we're all shooting with flashes, you know, so you had 500 flash sync. And, I mean, it was definitely a better image. And so then he started getting stuff in our magazine published, and then we all got Hasselblads. And then I tried not to buy the fisheye because I didn't want to spend, $4 to $6 grand on a fisheye lens. It's a 30mm lens, and it's beautiful. I still have it, and I use it about once a year now. And so everybody started shooting Hasselblad for stills, and then we used 35 for sequences. And then digital came in right after that, and we started using digital for sequences because everybody said, the quality's not there yet. It was like, I think it was the Canon 1D or something, and what was it, 4 megapixels or yeah. And so but you're running them this little, so they worked for sequences, and we started saving money on film because our film bills, I would buy a few hundred rolls a month of Velvia and probably Tri-X and then T-Max after that. And I mean, when we switched over to digital, we saved so much money because you'd shoot 20 rolls on one trick, and you could only run it if, you're talking $8 a roll or whatever back then. That's a lot. Your film budget's just crazy.
Yeah.
So with the Hasselblad, I shoot my Hasselblad still for portraits and landscapes. If I go to the desert or someplace, I usually use my Hasselblad. Sometimes I'll only take that. I won't take a digital camera until that little Fuji came out, and then I love that thing, like I said. But for commercial, you don't really need a medium format anymore. I don't know about art. I've only shot medium format digital once, and that was at what is it, the S1? Is it S1?
The SL1?
SL1.
Yeah.
I shot that. I borrowed one and shot it. I shot portraits with it. But no, it's like, what is the Nikon? Which Nikon shoots 50 megapixels?
Oh, I can't remember.
There's a new the newest Nikon is 50 megapixels, I think. And that thing's killer. That's what Blayback shoots with.
I just got his book, and I really love it. It's
the portrait one?
Yeah. No, the one that he did.
Oh, the original one.
It was like him and Callis.
Yeah, Kalis.
Yeah, Callis. It was the book of like their sort of like, coming up and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's a book. It sucked though because it wouldn't ship to Canada, so I had to like order it and get it shipped to Armand at the Denton Camera Exchange in Texas, and then get him to give it up to me.
I thought you shipped it to somebody that lived in Montana and or New York and slingshot it across the border or something.
Just about. Well, I mean, like Buffalo is like directly across the water from where I live in Toronto. There's supposed to be a ferry, but no going to the States anytime soon here.
No.
I
don't know why you'd want to, really.
Well, I have a lot of friends in the States, so I miss it because of my friends, not so much because of the place.
No, Canada, you live in one of the best countries in the world, I think.
Well,
except for the cold thing, not into the cold thing.
There's the cold thing, and it is a beautiful country, and I'm grateful and appreciative to live here. But I gotta say, and I've said it in other chats before, Canada has an excellent marketing team. So we've definitely put on this face to the rest of the world that we're this beautiful, great utopia where we get along and everything. But I have to admit, as a person of color, I've experienced more racism issues in Canada than I have in the U.S.
Oh,
I've
really?
spent a lot of time in the U.S. with work and traveling for photography the last few years, and I've definitely experienced a lot more racism here in Canada at home, especially in the West here. Like Alberta and BC are pretty bad for it. When you go out east, like Toronto is a very, very metropolitan, diverse area, so it's not as bad there. But when you get out into Southwest Ontario, just on the fringes of the Greater Toronto area, you start to run into the racism again. So
well, that's like here. That's like here when you go inland or to the Midwest or whatever. You get away from the coast of the United States and things go back, 5-10 years. automatically. I can drive 20 miles inland, and it's like, or where I grew up in Fallbrook, it's 20 miles from the coast. It's like going back in time. So
That'd be kind of true. Well, it's funny you say the Midwest though, because I drove through the Midwest last summer and I was a little worried about it because we were taking back roads and stuff, and the people were so friendly and so nice. It was really cool. Like I'd really love to spend more time driving along the Midwest and checking things out. Um, it was
yeah,
interesting, but Canada is a beautiful place. I am very grateful to live here, and I would
yeah.
definitely support and advocate anyone that wants to move here. Um, William
Somebody asked
Summerby
before
has
about Sin, this guy Sin, if I had
oh
seen him. And Sin was one of my best friends, but whoever asked that question, he passed away a couple years ago. So,
oh sorry to hear about that.
but he was a photographer, a skate photographer too. He helped start
Okay.
Airwalk shoes, and did all the photography for them. And he was a character. He's a funny dude.
Yeah, Airwalks were my first skate shoes ever.
Oh, really? Funny.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I got Airwalks and then some Vans, and then I got really into S for a while. Those were my favorites, but I can't find the model that I used to like. They don't make fat shoes as much anymore. It's all this.
Maybe DC's.
Yeah, the quality of DC though is really kind of tanked a bit. Oh yeah, sorry DC. Your quality is beautiful. My belt has lasted like 5 years.
Yeah. But they do have some fat shoes. My son's he likes fat shoes, the 26-year-old. He
Yeah,
skates in them too, but he skates in the most ridiculous shoes. Pretty funny.
that's pretty funny. Yeah, shots fired. I won't take it back, but Ken Block is a hell of a car driver, so I'll give him that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
William Summersby asks, has it been challenging shooting a subject skater who is a great athlete but a train wreck person or personality?
Well, I can think of a few people. Some are in jail, some are dead. Um, yeah, it was, as a photographer, you're you're not just a photographer. You're a psychologist. You're a tour guide. You're big brother, whatever. You have to keep some people in check. Um, I mean, there were guys in the '80s that were just wrecks, and you're a psychologist where you have to talk them into doing stuff, because they're throwing themselves down. I mean, skateboarding's dangerous. They're throwing themselves down a 20-stair rail, and they've done it 50 times and slammed every time, or bailed, or gotten their nuts crunched or whatever. And then they give up, or they break a board, or they throw their board, or they start screaming. So you're always trying to okay, you do it another day. You are like a psychologist. So it wasn't just about skating photos or taking photos. It was about all the other stuff. Plus, you're their friends. You're their friend lots of times, so you're dealing with that too. Oh, people would have nervous breakdowns, out shooting, or you drive all the way to LA. LA is 2 hours from here, and you drive to LA, try the trick once, you get thrown out, by whoever, or the cops come, or the guy breaks his board and he didn't bring another board, or he slams super hard, or, I had to take a couple of people to the hospital to get x-rays and stuff like that. They crack their heads or whatever, or break an arm or whatever. So yeah, you're dealing with all that too.
Damn. That's like the side that you wouldn't really think of when you look at the photos is like, all the extra labor that is around taking the photo.
Well, in skateboarding's, it's against the law in most places, like downtown areas or
Yeah.
schoolyards or whatever. So you were dealing with that. When I turned 50, I'm 65. Hey, you know what I was thinking? I'm the oldest person you probably had on your show, right?
You are, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I told my wife, and she's like, "Oh, don't get off on the age thing." And, But yeah, I looked at everybody and I watched Dave Rowland's thing.
Dave's fantastic. I love
Yeah,
Dave.
he interviewed me and took my portrait in my yard. And
Dave's taken like one of my most favorite pictures of me that I've ever received is from Dave when I met him in Texas at
yeah,
last year.
you know what? He's nicer in person than he is on your show, though, I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's super nice in person, and he's kind of like he's funny on your show. He's funny, but kind of distracted a little.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. I was cracking up.
He's
And then I looked at the other people, and I go, man, these people are like what in their 20s? Was the oldest person was what, early 30s or something? I don't know.
I think like Eric is probably like late 30s, maybe early.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm twice as old as your oldest person that you've had on. What were we talking about?
We got another question here. Is there a way to show you some of my work? I'd love some feedback or advice from Jessica Mona Photo.
Sure. My email is jgrantbrittian@gmail.com.
There you go.
And
an invitation.
you can look at and don't look at jgrantbrittian.com online. Look at jgrantbrittianphotos.com because I have an Etsy shop that I started a long time ago, but I try to get people to go to my other shop. And that's got my contact email on there too if you want to hit me up. But I will answer questions. But you heard my response to, how do you get your work shown? So maybe I'm not a good source to tell you.
That's fair. Brandon Baker Photo asks, what's your thoughts on converting color negs to black and white in post?
I do it all the time.
That's fair.
The photo you mentioned, the incense shrine in Japan, that's a color shot.
Oh, shit.
And I've always run it as a color shot. And then I'm part of a collective photo group and gallery in dark.
Photographer's Eye, right?
Yeah. In Escondido, which is like 20 minutes behind me east. And I love black and white. Black and white I could shoot black and white the rest of my life. I love color, but black and white I'm so stoked on black and white. So I cropped the hell out of that photo and turned it black and white for this show. And now I like it better than the color shot.
That's wild. On the black and white front, have you shot Eastman XX? What are your thoughts on that one?
Dude, I'm old school. I shoot Ilford and Kodak.
All right.
99% of my stuff is Kodak T-Max or Tri-X or Plus X or back for the Panatomic X, but I never really experimented with a lot of the other, like toy films and stuff. Or Eastern European or whatever, because I was always, for the magazine, we were always into quality. So we were always trying to get the best color and the best grain. And so I was shooting Kodachrome in the beginning. I tried other things like Konica and stuff, and I was like, ugh. And then Fuji, when Fujichrome came out, or we discovered Fujichrome, it was probably around for a long time. And then Velvia came out, and we were pushing Velvia, and then T-Max 3200 came out, and I was just stuck on all those films. I was really addicted to 3200 for a while.
I love the 3200. The grain that it has is just like chef's kiss.
We were using it for flash sequences because you could push the shit out of it and then turn your flash. We had Q flashes and quantum battery packs, and you could turn your flash down to 1/32 power or something and shoot sequences at night and stuff, and then push the film, and your flash would because of the low power, your flash would recycle super fast, so you could shoot, like eight frames a second, so.
Yeah. You'll have to email me your address after because I want to send you a care package of a couple of my favorite black and white films.
Yeah, you're not gonna get me over there.
Am
You're
I?
the devil. You're the devil, I think.
I'm the
No,
devil.
no, I'm kidding. No, no, I got some stuff from Lomo recently, and I've shot that. I shot that Lady Gray and something else. I forget. Oh, the Berlin. I
I
shot
shot.
those.
I've shot the Metropolis. I like
I
that one.
haven't shot that.
It's a cool color film that's got this sort of like greenish yellowish tinge to it. It makes it
Mm.
look really vintage. But Lomo sent me a couple of their simple use cameras.
Mm-hmm.
I did a giveaway last month where I did a photo walk with some people in Toronto, and it was cool. Like those simple use cameras, it's become one of my favorite cameras now. Where is it here? Um, this guy here.
Oh yeah.
Just like
Uh-huh.
a cheap piece of shit
It's
plastic.
like a wedding camera
Yeah, but
that you find on a table at a wedding.
it's reloadable though, and
Oh
you
really?
the
Oh wow.
battery in it. I've put like 8 rolls of film through this thing.
Is it a plastic lens or?
It's a plastic lens.
Hmm.
It's total garbage, and it makes great photos.
You know, you know what my thing with not shooting a lot of different films is like I like that I know what you know my usual film is going to do every time, and then I was always paranoid that I was going to shoot something really good subject wise, and then the film wouldn't be quite to
Oh,
where
yeah.
like oh I should have shot Tri-X, you know. I
I
know exactly how Tri-X is going to look, you know. And how old is Tri-X?
Oh, Trix has been around for decades.
70 years, 60 years? I mean, I don't know, 60 years? Probably
And
that.
we've got one here. Black Swan 74 says, "How's your book coming along?"
It's good. It's just kind of because of the pandemic, it's kind of in limbo right now. I'm working on it. It's I've been working on it for 2 years solid, and it's a skate 1980s book. It was going to be my 40-year book, and then we decided to narrow it down and make it a 1980s book. And it's all skateboarding and portraits and lifestyle. None of my art stuff, except the skate artsy stuff.
So Ryan Miller has a question here. In the mid 80s, we used to get so inspired by Transworld Mag each one because of the color photography. The Thrasher was black and white. I guess it cuts off, but I guess he's like wondering why the difference between Transworld and Thrasher.
Well, I think Thrasher, they started before Transworld a couple years before, and we started in 83 and they started in 81. And they were going for kind of that core look. They were kind of anti quality, and
Okay.
we wanted to do something a little less raw. And I wasn't the owner at the time. You know, later on, you know, um, I made a salary out of them, and I was always into quality, and I thought, and I heard this from a lot of photographers. Photographers would love to have their stuff printed in Transworld on glossy paper with good color and everything, than have their photos get kind of just ink just sucked into them on newsprint.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we were doing two different things, and we had this cleaner, because of the owners, we had this cleaner look on skating. We didn't run drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. I mean, we had alcohol and drugs, but yeah.
We're coming up on the last minute of the chat here.
Okay.
Grant, I want to thank you so much for spending an hour with me and with the people of the Instagram world. It was fantastic to chat with you again. Like, I mean, I enjoyed our chat in San Clemente at the pizza joint. That was a
That
good
was
time.
fun.
I really appreciate your openness to join in on this and share some time with us all.
All right. Well, thanks everybody, all 32 of you, 33 that came to hear it. I'm
Yeah,
stoked.
it was a lot of fun. And the next
All
week,
right.
we're going back to Toronto. A good friend of mine, Leslie, is going to be joining us to talk about medium format photography. And I'll be back in Toronto then, hopefully without the COVID. Fingers crossed. And stay safe. Wear a mask out there over the nose. And enjoy your night, guys. Thank you so much again, Grant. I love you all.
Bye. Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Bye.